Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Tonight, we have a surprise guest. Uh, Before we get to talk about our surprise guest, um, the show we were supposed to do, of light skin, dark skin, that's going to be at another date. We have the dials, but there's some things that I want to talk about. Won't talk about them while we have our guest on, but um, the night again, though, I want to dedicate the show to one of our workers at the port. One of our union brothers got hurt yesterday, very bad. I don't want to call his name out, but he fell. He's in serious shape right now. And I just want everybody to pray for this young man. He fell during the power wash, and the show was going to be canceled, um, but again, we got a surprise guest tonight. But I want everybody to pray for this young man who got hurt very bad, and your prayers for him and his family. Also, the show was dedicated to. Last week we went to an event for the Brown Boys Club, and they dedicated the show. They honored Jack, Gil Jackson, Richard Johnson, John Tripp, and Mike Miller for Brown Boys Club, and it was so nice. I gave a testimony, others gave a testimony, people were crying. And if our community is ever going to get back on track, this is what we need: strong men in kids' lives early, when they are STEM, before they get a chance to get turned into a tree. I know Jack and Richard and Calvin Perry now saved my life. They did an awesome job. They did an awesome job with, I don't know who's calling now, but let me turn this thing down a little bit. Could you just hold up till it's time to take calls? That's going to be much later. But again, they did an awesome job saving my life and many more lives, and it was just awesome. I'm going to talk about that much later. But tonight, again, we have a special guest, and I want him to come on. I know this young man for a long, long time, but I want him to come on and say some things. I asked him a couple of questions. He can't stay long, but he did want to come out to our community and speak to our community. And again, I like to say hello. How you doing?
Good, Julius. Good to be with you tonight.
Okay.
Thanks for having me on.
And I would like to tell everybody what's going on in your life and what's going on, what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, especially to be here with you tonight, because this week I formed a committee to run for governor in 2016, which was a really big decision for me and my family and for our team. I had fully intended to support Beau Biden, as many of us did. Beau knew of the challenges and problems that we face in our state government, and he was the man I thought that could address those challenges. And of course, big surprise to all of us, great tragedy for the family and for our state, really in the country, with Beau's passing. And so after, frankly, several weeks of listening to people across our state, I had an opportunity to talk to the vice president. I just needed to talk to him about the circumstances around this. I decided to switch gears a little bit and not run for re-election for Congress, but to run for governor in 2016. It's a great privilege to serve in Congress. I enjoy the work. It's very frustrating, obviously, from most of the time, because Democrats and Republicans, unlike here in Delaware where we have a tradition of working together, it seems like they're fighting tooth and nail no matter what the issue is. And so that's very frustrating. But, I've been able to find my place there and a place to make a difference for our state on a lot of different issues, and I still have unfinished work there. But I thought that could make a bigger impact coming home and running for governor. So we filed a committee today, or this week. I won't start really campaigning directly in terms of some of the issues facing our state, although, when you think about it, they're very different. They're very similar to the issues that every state faces and that we face in the country. Where are the jobs of the future going to come from, especially manufacturing job? Terrible story that you told about one of your ILO members was hurt over the weekend, but it's those kind of jobs that are a pathway to the middle class have been for generations, and and will be. And we've had a shrinking there, and not just in Delaware, but across the country, with the hollowing out of those kind of manufacturing jobs and industrial jobs. Where I grew up in Claymont, that's, most of the people in the neighborhood I lived in, worked in that industrial complex. So where are those jobs going to come from, and how are we going to prepare our young people for the skills to do that? Those are the things that we deal with in Washington, and obviously they're going to be big issues here in Delaware.
Okay. Now, what people don't know, as you being a congressman, again, can you just share some of the committees you're on? You just named one, the manufacturing committee. Can you share some of the committees that you're on when you were as a congressman?
Yeah, most of the work that I do is with the Financial Services Committee. It's an important committee for me in our state, because we have probably more than 40,000, 50,000 jobs in the financial services industry here in Delaware. It's an important one. It's also important for consumers and people trying to buy homes. One of the major focuses of my work is to protect the 30-year fixed mortgage, which is a mortgage that most people use to get their first home, and then to get some develop equity, and really their personal wealth is mostly in their home. So it's important that we protect that, and I've spent a lot of time doing that.
Now, you also on the high-speed rail. Can you explain the high-speed rail? What is that?
Yeah, the High-Speed Rail Caucus is something that members across the country are part of to and try to encourage and make available funding for high-speed rail. It creates jobs in that industry, and it also will help us meet our transportation needs. I'd love to see it in the Northeast Corridor, which is the Amtrak corridor that I take to work most days, as do Senator Harper and Senator Coons from Wilmington to Washington. That corridor all the way down to the southeast and up to Boston is probably the busiest corridor in the country, and we ought to have a higher speed rail than what we get with the Acela service.
So is that one of the questions? Because I know Amtrak right now is doing hiring. I see, like right now, they're hiring a lot of people for jobs.
It's a perfect example of the kind of jobs that we need to preserve and create, protect here in the short term, and to create going forward. And if you have a program, particularly with financial support from the federal government to invest in high-speed rail, you're going to create jobs. Look at all the Amtrak jobs we have at the shops here in Wilmington. It's a big industry. It's an important one. When I went to work for then Senator Biden 30 years ago, Bert DiClemente was tied closely into the Amtrak folks. His dad worked there. It's been an important industry for 30 or more years, and it's enabled those families to have middle-class jobs that enable them to raise their families, send their kids to college, and save some for retirement.
I used to work for Amtrak for about a year. Way back when, I worked for Amtrak. It's a good job, and also
those are the kinds of jobs we're talking about. And one of the things that people forget about or don't think about often is over time those jobs require skills.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's from the VOTEC schools or what have you, or the training programs out there. And too many times young people, we have jobs that are available, whether they're welders or electricians or whatever they might be, and we don't have people in the workforce that have those skills for those jobs, and there's a mismatch. So that's another important priority for us.
Now, I watched this program one time, and I think this might be something that you can think about, where they couldn't find people trained, the companies couldn't find people, they started training them at their own jobs.
Yeah.
I met with Senator McDowell, and I also met with, Mark Brainer, who's
Del Tech.
Of Del Tech, of Del Tech. And I was trying to get them to come down, to get a group to come down and start training people, because it would be nice if the government would give some money to companies and let them train them for what they're looking for.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And frankly, Del Tech does a pretty good job of that. They work very closely with specific companies and industries, allow those companies to help them develop the curriculum and the training programs, and then Del Tech attracts the students and then puts them through the
Yeah.
educational courses.
Again, but the part I want to see, and I've seen it where the companies, they train them right on their jobs.
Oh, I see, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, they couldn't find people who was already trained to do, so they brought people down there to teach them how to make tools, do things.
Yeah.
And if the government would,
There are other countries around the world. The Germans do that a lot. You know, we ought to look at, you know, the Germans have a great apprenticeship and training programs, and as you say, the very, very close labor management relationship and those training and apprenticeship programs are built right into the company.
Right, because everybody's not going to go to college for one reason or another. And again, I remember Howard, like people came out with a trade. They knew how to do things early.
Yeah.
Even, again, if you're not going to go to college and you know that ninth grade, even they have summer programs that teach a skill so you can be able to work and make a good living.
We should try to make sure that everybody that graduates from a Delaware high school is either ready to go to college or ready to go to work.
Yeah.
And too many kids aren't, and that's why we talk about the challenges that we have in the city of Wilmington. Those are challenges that start with young people that don't have skills to get a job in the workforce and jobs that don't exist.
Yeah. Well, I just hope I can be on, again, I mean, there's some things that are going on that I think are in the right direction, but I think, you know, everybody can find their lane, but there's some other things I think that can go on that could help. And I definitely would like to be a part of people getting trained earlier.
Yeah.
Again, my nephews who, my brother taught my nephews how to be electricians, how to fix things and do things, and they can go and work for anybody. They can work for themselves.
Right.
And that's what, because every day I have people calling, and not just me. Everybody has somebody. Do you need a job? Like, I don't walk around with applications in my back pocket, but that's just something I definitely would like to see. So, what's some of the things that you think, without getting too deep? Because again, I know I wanted our community for you to come on and to announce and let them hear from you, not reading the paper. You know, that they can see personally, but I would like to see if you can take things that you learned in Congress and bring back to the state level from the federal level.
Well, there's a whole host of things, and one of the things that I said in our announcement, the press announcement this week when we filed the committee was, there'll be plenty of time to talk about the specifics of job creation, education, all the rest of it as we get into next year. The reality is, with campaigns being what they are and costing what they are these days, you have to have a committee and start sooner. But we all know, I mean, what the challenges are. I mean, I learned those from the people that I represent here in our state. Mm-hmm. They tell me that we need jobs that pay good salaries, right? Where you can support a family on a middle class income. They know that we need affordable mortgages and ways to buy homes. They know that if their kids are going to go to college, and they hope for that they can be able to afford it, and that they want to put something away for retirement. We all know that we have challenges at the federal level with the funding for Social Security, and that's a big issue that needs to be dealt with. So the issues of jobs, of the future, of education, training our young people for those jobs, and the fiscal situation in our state. How are we going to have the tax revenues to support education, higher education, elementary and secondary education, healthcare, and the rest of it, are the big three issues, and very challenging at this time, particularly given some of the things that have happened in our economy in our state. But I think the most important thing for the next governor is somebody who can bring everybody together around some kind of common approach to these. That doesn't mean everybody's going to agree on what it is, but you've got to agree on a series of things in order to move the state forward.
Now, you also on the Men's Health Committee. What is that? What's the Men's Health?
Well, the Men's Health Committee, men don't pay much attention to their health, frankly. And I've done a lot of work when I was lieutenant governor on health and wellness generally, and we championed a program for to address disparities in health within the African American community. Prostate cancer, let's just take one. African American male in Delaware is 2.5 times more likely to die of prostate cancer than a Caucasian male. What's going on there? What can we do at the government level to address that? That's a really significant, it pretty much explains the difference in the mortality rate in cancer between blacks and whites in our state. Well, that's something that we should address, and it's really a men's health issue. What we found is one of the best ways to get men to take care of themselves is to talk to their women, believe it or not.
I was going to say that.
You know, and that because it's just the fact that women in our lives maybe pay more attention than the men themselves. And so some of the message that we tried to get out with respect to prostate cancer and getting your testing and all the rest of it, those messages have to come through women.
And I agree, because I know when my wife took on sickle cell awareness 5 years ago, people wasn't even talking about it. Now, I mean, every year, this is our 4th year for the sickle cell race, 600-something people was there.
Yeah.
And what I'm proud about most is that these are people who normally don't tap into the run walk.
Right.
And so what a lot of people did was said, look, the 5K is a 3-mile race. We don't want. So what they did was they put a 1-mile walk and run. They had 300 people just sign up for that. But now everybody talks about sickle cell.
Yeah.
It's getting more funding. It's getting more awareness. So I definitely agree. Women.
I mean, if you're whether you're talking about sickle cell or prostate cancer or heart disease, high blood pressure is another one, you know, there are differences in both the incidence of those diseases and the mortality in the black and white communities in our state. And we need to think about the systems that deliver health care services to make sure that there's a certain awareness of the particular issues in a given community.
I believe definitely of educating and spending the resources and making it happen, because I've seen it happen many a times, and that's a good thing, because again, people are leaving and checking out too early, and right now I'm gonna give you a good example. I'm not quite sure about the only one. Like I've been having my own issues with different things. I've been going to the West Center City. I've been playing ping pong every day, and now there's more and more people like me, Gundy, a lot of us every day. But I mean, we've been going at it for hours at a time. I feel so much better. I mean, just getting the tension off and the stress. I'm eating better. I'm sleeping better. So
any kind of physical activity, you know.
Yeah.
We used to have a program, and of course, the Nemours Foundation has a health and wellness program that they call 5-2-1 almost none, which is 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, 3 something, and almost no sugar sweetened drinks. They got a whole series of things
But it's crazy. I mean, the health part is crazy, because when you stop eating, like I took out sugar out of my diet for 3 days, I was shaking. You have withdrawals.
Makes a difference, yeah.
But I definitely believe in awareness and getting our women, because they're gonna let us know if they got to nag us to death. They're gonna let us know, and it's needed. But another question. Have anybody else announced they're running for governor other than yourself?
Well, there are 2 candidates on the Republican side that have announced, and that's all that I'm aware of. You know,
Okay.
One of the things that people always ask me when I'm running for election about my opponents, and I say, you know, I try not to pay as much attention to my opponents. I try to spend all my time focused on the people that I'm seeking to represent, to listen to what they want me to do, and to stay focused on, you know, communicating my message to the citizens of our state, and I always feel like the rest will take care of itself.
Okay. I have one more thing to say, then I'm gonna let you close whatever you would say. But again, also that Congressman Carney, I've known you for a long time. I remember I was working with, at the time she was Lieutenant Governor Ruth Ann Minner.
Right.
and we helped her campaign, and we also helped you when she was running for governor, and you was running for lieutenant governor.
Right.
So we go way, way, way back. Again, I just want you to I'd like to see you make a promise that you will come back, take some phone calls.
I'll come back. I'll talk about the specifics. As I said, the announcement this week was really just to form a committee to, I mean, a lot of people were encouraging me to do it. Obviously, after Beau Biden passed away, there were things that I needed to get straight in my own head and with my friends and family and with the vice president. But you know, there'll be time as we get into next year to really talk about the specifics of the campaign. I'd be happy to come back. I do appreciate the opportunity to come on tonight to let your viewers know of this change, because, you know, when people voted for me 2 years ago, or less than 2 years ago, in 2014, they voted for me to be their congressman, and I intend to do everything they expected me to do in that position. I've got a lot of work still to do in Washington on some of the things we talked about with affordable mortgages and the rest, making sure that we get our work done with a highway bill and with our other budget bills, as opposed to what the Republicans want to do, which is close down the government. So I will continue to do that, and then we'll come back in the spring and talk more about it.
So again, look into, I think, this camera here, tell everybody that you're running, and then we will go to a commercial, and because there's some things I wanted to discuss, and I don't want the congressman to be here to be a part of that. But again, let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, first I want to thank the people of Wilmington and the surrounding area that watch this program for giving me the great privilege to serve as your congressman, as you have since 2010, and prior to that as lieutenant governor. It is a special privilege to serve in any elected office, and I've decided now to file for a committee to run for governor in 2016, and I look forward to talking to you about what I intend to do as your next governor, and hope to win your support for that.
Thank you. Again, thank you. And
thanks, Julius.
Thank you. And again, he said he will come back on this show, I'm quite sure in others, to give you his plan, what he's planning to do to change Delaware. And we'll be waiting for it, and we'll be waiting for him to come back and talk to us about what he's going to do, and put his strategy out there, put his plan out there. And we're going to go to a commercial, and you can play the regular one, and then you can play the second one with the sickle cell. Ivan. All right, thank you again. Again, you got to excuse some things that was going on today. There's a lot of things going on, and we was going to postpone the show, but tonight the show was supposed to be about light skin, dark skin, and we have here the dolls here. I don't know. That's what the show was going to be about tonight. This is a hot item. Everybody wants to be a part of it. Okay. And everybody wants to be a part of it. So we will do this show. Just tonight we couldn't get it in because more people want to be involved, and we got the data. It's going to blow you away. Also, just allow me a couple minutes to explain some things that I must talk about. We had a sickle cell run walk 2 weeks ago. It was excellent. We had over 600 something people. It was great. All sorts of people, very diverse, came out. But, you know, our community, we have to wake up and stop letting people treat us any type of way. And I'm going to give you a good example. For the last 3 years, we had a guy named James Wagner who works for the DEMRAC administration. They tried to cancel the race, wrote all kinds of nasty letters, tried to stop it, gave us dates, changed the dates. Just horrible disrespect. It's something that shouldn't never happen. And I'm gonna give y'all this guy's number because I want y'all guys, people to call this number. Not only that, gave out tickets and fines. They said they had a thing was on the billboard that was on a pole, sending a $45 fine, tried to cancel it. I mean, just totally disrespect. For 3 years in a row, when you try to do something very positive, something so good. And so this year what they did was they snuck a bill in, it's called the impact bill or the zoo bill. If you have anything down Brandywine, the first hour is $300. The second hour is $600. And then anything after 2 hours is $1,000. If you want to stage, that's another $400. So before you even get started, you got to pay $1,400. They don't want us at the park. This is our park in our backyard. We keep it clean. It's never been a problem. But we sit there and allow them to mistreat us any type of way. We got to stop letting people just do what they want to our community. That's our community. We pay tax dollars, and to get mistreated this way. And this guy's number, and Alvin, I want you to put it up. His name is James Wagner. His phone number is 577-7020. 577-7020. And you got to see these emails, the nastiness, the way they talk to us. You know, and we try to do something to alert the public, something, and everybody has such a good time. But these are the things that go on behind the scenes that our community is not aware of. So they don't want us there $1,400. And then they give you tickets. If somebody put a sign on one of the poles on Market Street, you get a ticket. I mean, and we have to stop letting people treat us this way. Ivan, if you can write this number down, 577-7020. Okay, again, we have to stop allowing people to do whatever they want to us. We have to start standing up as a community. We have to start standing up. Also, I met with, that number right there. Please call him tomorrow and let him know that we will not tolerate this kind of behavior. We're taxpayers. And for them to do, we had over 600 and some people. For every year, it's never been one piece of paper left on the ground. But there's other people who give functions, they can't say that. We hire a cleanup crew to come and make sure there's no paper, and they change the date. They just constantly harass you. And again, because I know certain politicians that I can call, but what about the people who don't know politicians, who can't call? They get canceled out. You know, we got to stop allowing this to happen. So please call this man tomorrow and let him know. People had we gave out bikes, trophies, 4 bikes. We gave out 2 brand new laptops. They had free food from Chick-fil-A. They had all kinds of kids had a ball. It was a family affair. Nobody's doing no crime. It wasn't a piece of paper. So make sure you call this man tomorrow and let him know, give him a piece of your mind. And we got to stop this. Also, I talked to the News Journal. I had a meeting with the News Journal this week, and they said they're gonna come on TV and discuss and see what we feel. Because again, it seems like we don't get no coverage unless it's a shooting. It seemed like all these great, I listened to Josie today. They had a nice event. We can't get the news coverage. A lot of people doing great things in their community. But if nobody's shot, we don't hear from them. You got kids who doing all sorts of great things. People, committed people out there doing. So the News Journal is going to come. And when they come, I want y'all to call in and talk to them. And they need to hear from our community. But we need to start figuring out other ways to get our message out. Because again, there's a lot of great things going on. And so they have agreed to come on. And, you know, and I'm gonna say one more thing, then we're gonna turn it over to a tape with Bernie Sanders. And I want people to understand what's going on with Bernie Sanders. But I also wanna say about the port of Wilmington. And I just wanna put this on record. Julius Cephas here, I believe in jobs. Wherever the jobs come from, I believe in jobs. And what we did was when Kinder Morgan, when the energy company tried to take over the port, we stopped them. There wouldn't be no expansion. All the things that people are talking about today would not be possible if we didn't do what we did to stop them. And I'm not against anything. I'm for the port, Claymont. I'm for anything that creates jobs. But again, it was our local who stopped them in their tracks when they tried to bring the energy port. We wouldn't even be having this conversation about any expansion if we didn't do our work. And again, nobody was out there with us. And to give you a good example what type of fight it was, when the bill, Senate Bill 3 came up on a Thursday, if we didn't get that bill passed on a Thursday, we would have lost our jobs Friday, because the board would have voted on it, because the legislators was going to their 6-week break, and we got the bill passed from Senator Marshall, who put Senate Bill 3 in, who saved the day. But we got the bill passed on a Thursday. They rushed me to the hospital Friday with double pneumonia. I almost died. I stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks. The doctor said if I didn't get there within an hour, it was over. For 2 weeks, he said, you was under so much stress, it broke your immune system down. So, so when people say, well, yeah, this was a serious fight, and this is what we did. And every day when my wife came to the hospital, I can see the fear in her face. I knew I was in trouble. I could see it, I could hear it, I could see things. And again, and the doctors had to come in and put the phone down so I couldn't be on the phone talking, still trying to make sure things happen. So, yeah, so when people say that we're not for this or that, that's not true. That's not true. Komoko, right now, I've called Komoko, got him on a city show with Shannon. I've done things because I think they got capable people. Talk to him. They don't need me out front. They got capable people who are doing, I think, a decent job, what they're doing. But I've called, when the newspaper calls me, I said, no, call Komoko. I give them Komoko's number. I call Komoko and say, this is what's going on. So don't let nobody tell you what I'm not doing, because it's not true. When Longshoremen didn't have a contract, they went on strike. We didn't cross the picket line. By us helping them, they was able to get their contract within an hour because of the work we did with them. And even though I almost got fired. So, and I'm gonna bring some people on to talk about other ports and other expansions and other things, but again, I'm about jobs, union or non-union, about good wage jobs. So don't let people tell you what we're not doing. We have people on our committee who are, my vice president's on that committee. So I just want people to understand that. But our community is gonna have to start looking at what's going on, and do not vote on friendship, vote on people's records and pay attention. But we out here fighting. We out here fighting, and just a lot of divided. People try to divide you to conquer you. And just don't fall for the okie doke. And we tend to go for the same thing, divide. And the only reason why I'm here tonight, I want y'all to understand something. We've been on the front line for a long time. You got a lot of people Johnny come lately, but that's not us. We've been out there. Again, I don't need to be out front to support somebody or support a certain situation. So, again, when a news journal comes on this channel, I want everybody to call in and voice your opinion. And, and anything else that we can do to try to create jobs or whatever, we'll do it. And I'm gonna be talking about this more at the proper, appropriate time. And I'm gonna give you facts. I'm gonna give you facts, because a lot of people were blowing smoke. But I'm gonna give you real facts, proof of what's going on and who's doing what and who's not doing what. But that's gonna be at the appropriate time. Again, I just wanna thank everybody who came out for the sickle cell race, run walk. It was excellent, and we need to do more great things. I heard Josie had a good event. I mean, there's a lot of good things going on in our community, and that's why Channel 28 is so valuable, because this is our news company right here, and I'm proud of it. And I call her Dr. Ruth. Ms. Baker, I will be giving you a call. I haven't called you in a while because I've been dealing with certain things, and sometimes I don't want my misery to spread to others. But I've been thinking about you, and I'm gonna give you a call, and you know, and I know you're doing great things, and I know you always done great things. But again, I want you all to listen to this man, Bernie Sanders, who's running for president, and pay attention and see what he's talking about, because they're trying to blame the economy on us. They're trying to say that Medicaid, pensions, they always try to blame the little man for things, but they don't tell you that they got $1 trillion sitting offshores where they haven't paid taxes to corporations. They don't tell you all the things, the welfare that the corporate America is getting. They want to talk about the $100 they give you when they give in corporate America billions of dollars. And you can't even get these corporations that live in our country, but they want our military to protect them, but they don't want to be a United States citizen. They don't talk to you about that. So I want you to listen, Ivan, go to this tape, listen to the tape, and I appreciate everybody listening to what I had to say tonight. And I know it was a different type of show, but and keep our union brother in your prayers tonight and his family. And we'll be back next month, the third Sunday, and we're going to either have the News Journal or Light Skin, Dark Skin, because it's something that we need to start talking about. We need to stop hiding. And again, I appreciate it, and good night to everybody. And I even put the clip on about Bernie Sanders. Thank you. And